Welcome to Pharos Technology. Today I want to talk to you about basic database design. It's a 5-step process that begins with basic design of the system itself. It's kind of an overall design of concept to reality, okay? The second thing is designing the reports. And I'll tell you why. You start at the back end of the process because it informs the middle of the process really quite well. The third one is data design. And the data design allows you to take from those reports and put in categories all of the different data sets that you're going to need to use in your database. The next is, once you know the data that you want to put in your database, you put it into the tables. You put it in there by subject, and you make sure that they all have a primary key so they can be connected, and you can then develop queries and reports on that data. The third thing then is to design your forms. Put all the input into those forms, and that way you can determine if you have effectively put it all into the tables and collected the correct information. And now the reports come into play here, where you actually put the reports into the database. Now, let's get started. So designing a database is a 5-step process. Basically, you want to start with an overall design. You want to determine all the tasks that a database is meant to accomplish. If I was designing a database for a bookstore, for example, I'd want to make sure that the functions in the database are able to collect information about the books. I would want all the ISBN data and information in there. So I'd want a quick and easy way to collect that information and then collate it and possibly export data to a sales web page, whether it's eBay or Amazon. You want to then collect all the information and current reports and forms that you're already using. So if it's already a going concern and you're just starting to computerize your business, you collect all the paperwork that you use during all the pieces of the process. And by doing that, you have a good feel for all the data points that you're currently using in that process. Step 2, you design the reports. In other words, what output do you want from the database? What do you want the data, once it's in the database, to tell you? There's no sense putting a whole bunch of stuff in a database if you don't want to have the information to come back out. So don't put information in there that you don't need. So by designing the reports, you can identify the actual information that is necessary and needed to be put into the database. Then you're going to design the data. Now the data design becomes critical here. You have all the reports in hand. You have all the forms in hand that you're using. You've determined what your general look and feel is going to be. So now you start putting all the data in lists of the data elements that you need and separate it into subject matter so that you can put each of those different subjects into different tables. And then comes step 4, where you actually load that data into tables, making sure that you identify each table with a primary key so that they can be joined back together through queries and other code that you might write later on in order to make the database function. After all the tables are established, then you're going to build those forms so that a user can input the data into each of the tables. And then you're going to actually build those reports that you scoped out earlier in step 2 of the process. So you end up with a 5-step process. Now there's a lot of complicated items with each of those processes, and you'll see that as you get into the process. You might even begin by starting with step 1 to design only a portion of the database and make the process a little bit more agile so you can quickly move through sections of the database. Every part of the way, whether you do it agile or you're generally more of a waterfall thing, maybe it's a very small project, it doesn't need to be agile. You'll do these basic 5 steps every time that you design a database from beginning to end. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, and I hope to see you again in the channel later. Thanks.